What's left to say about the greatest player to ever throw a bowling ball down the lane? The man with the most maple moxie ever. No, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about Walter Ray Williams Jr. What did he do at the start of the season? Well, he took a little trip over to Japan. And this is where he surpassed the late, great Earl Anthony's record of 41 career titles with a victory at the Japan Cup. And he did it in dramatic fashion. Almost bowling a perfect game, he shoots 289 to take down Pete Weber. It doesn't matter what oil pattern we bowl on. It doesn't matter what tournament format we use. It doesn't matter what city, what state, or what country he wins. And Norm, in our opening match, he's taking on a bowler who you know very well, Mike Machuga.
Yeah, and Mike and I are great friends, and we practice a lot together. And believe me, he has all the tools. He can throw it straight with the best of them, and he can hook the ball around most of the boomers on this tour. Now, this has been a bad year for Mike, all brought about by an injury suffered earlier in this season to his groin. Now, this caused some bad habits in his approach that have been lingering all year long. Now, he says he's eliminated these bad habits and is ready to win today. But to do so, he has to elevate his game to that elite level that everyone has expected of him. And let's face it, Randy, an elite performance is usually what it takes to take down the great Walter Ray Williams Jr.
Should be a great matchup. The cheetah pattern, 35 feet in length. It's the shortest of all the named patterns. It's also the highest scoring pattern because of the friction on the outside part of the lane and oil in the middle. Dale Traber had two 299s this week. Mike Machuga had a 300. Mike Miniman had a 300. And the last time we had a 300 game on television, well, that was Tony Reyes, November 5th, 2006, Taylor, Michigan, on the cheetah pattern.
Mike Machuga, set for his second TV show of the season, made the Japan Cup as well, where Walter Ray, of course, made history. He takes on the legend here today in Parkersburg. From Erie, Pennsylvania, has 20 family and friends here, he told us, who made the drive. To watch that good start for the guy they call Chugs on tour, a strike.
A lot of strikes. He's going to take down the great one, Walter Ray Williams Jr. And this lane pattern falls right into his wheelhouse. It allows him to do what he does best, and that's throw it straight from out.
With his wife here in attendance, he's got all 10 down as well. Good start as Page witnesses another strike for the great Walter Ray Williams Jr. on TV. And Randy, we checked the Ace Hardware matchup. Now, Walter Ray has done everything possible in this game. He told us last night, though, he is still hungry, still competitive, and wants Player of the Year for a 7th time very badly.
Well, winning never gets old, and Walter Ray, at age 47, is still proving that he can get it done on a weekly basis out here.
Late tap on number 10. We're on a very high-scoring oil pattern, as we saw Norm in the oil breakdown. On this pattern, we could have some big numbers today, and each bowler perfect so far.
Yeah, this is bumper bowling for the professionals here on this cheater pattern.
But Norm, Walter Ray said it's still not as easy as elite condition.
Looking at quite a bit.
Great shot by Mike. No, it's not as easy as elite condition. Elite conditions are usually kind of walled up around the second arrow. This cheetah pattern, it's more like third or fourth board. As we watch Mike get it all the way to that region, ball crawls all the way back and just hammers that rack.
Now, Norm, why is Mike Machuga going around it so much? Why is he hooking it so much when Walter Ray is going so straight? And I guarantee you're going to see Mike Miniman and Dale Traber go that straight as well.
Great shot. Now, the reason Mike is throwing the ball with such a big hook, now, he made this telecast piping the ball just like the other players, but when you have that many people in the same region throwing those big balls, it's going to affect the lanes a lot differently. Now, Mike last night told me that as we watch Walter Ray a little confused with the signs, Mike told me that the changes that are going to be happening today will allow him to just jump left and start banking it off that track that these people are creating.
Here's a 7th pin for Walter. First non-strike of our afternoon here in Parkersburg, West Virginia. We saw Machuga make a significant move from one lane to the other, hooking it more on the right lane for sure.
Yeah, and this is the thing the players have struggled with all week long. It was easy to get to the pocket. It was really hard to knock the corner pins down.
Right at you, old Deadeye takes care of the single pin conversion again. He has 42 titles to his credit. All-time record holder, as you know, in that category. The rest of the field, a combined 1 Denny's PBA Tour title. That was Machuga last year in Omaha Council Bluffs. Perfect shot in the 1-3 pocket for Walter Ray.
Norm, you talked about it's easy to get to the pocket, but these guys had to strike a lot because the 4 finalists today, in their average in wins alone, well, they combined averaged over 250. That means you're not striking like no more than twice a game.
Yeah, you miss more than twice a game, then normally you're looking at a loss, trying to get lined up for the next game.
Saw the road to TV for Mike Machuga. Big hook on that one. And what a start for Mike Machuga from Erie, Pennsylvania. 30 years old, a PBA member since 2001.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say Mike missed this one when you see all of that hook, but he really did. He missed it. It got right early, came off that friction real hard, and when that ball recovers and slaps those pins, look out.
Guys, that ball looked like it went out for a cheeseburger and a Coke, and it came back with steak and baked potato.
Little upgrade there. He's got a nice lead. And another strike.
And a little lobster side dish right there.
Surf and turf for Mike Machuga. 5 straight to begin the match with Walter Ray. And as Mike told us today before the matchup, it would take a near-perfect effort to knock off the legend. Here is the King's Road to TV. 2 of the 3 matches went the maximum 7 games. High flush.
And he said he got lucky just to get past Kelly Kulick. Said that she out-bowled him, but Walter Ray came out on top. He said he had a nice little streak there where he threw 1 shot and got 4 through the middle, big ugly split, got 5 more. The next ball he threw, took a piece of tape out, he went through it in the gutter, got the spare, and then struck out and ended up bowling some pretty big games after that.
Here's shots like that. He's got a 5-3 record on TV this year. The title came at the Japan Cup to set the record. Also been on TV in Cleveland, Reno, Fountain Valley, and today here in Parkersburg. A tough matchup with Mike Machuga. The Bear Classic on ESPN is brought to you by Bear. The more you know, the more you trust Bear. By Denny's. Denny's always works. By Prescription Flomax. And by the United States Bowling Congress, ensuring the integrity and protecting the future of the sport of bowling. Bowl with us. Start for Mike Machuga, bidding for his first title of this season. The front 5, an 11-pin lead on Walter A. Williams Jr. Let's check in with the Atonic Edge. It is Mike Machuga this week, Randy.
And I think Mike Machuga's got a little bit of a throwback style with modern-day power. Watch this form, and look how balanced he is at the foul ends. Looks like a stroker, but he throws that big hook. But the thing that's been troubling him is his footwork because of the injury, Norm.
Yeah, each of his left steps have been too far left than normal. This is going to cause his ball to go through his target line left of where he's looking. And he didn't pick this up because he was constantly getting the ball right of his target. But those left steps, he says he's got them more in line, and he's ready to win.
There, Machuga family is in full force, Norm. Dick and Barbara, Mike's dad and stepmother. Shirley Ferretti, Mike's sister. Lori Grilly, Mike's other sister, here as well. 20 family and friends, he told us last night. Making the trip. About a 5-hour drive from Erie, Pennsylvania down here. And they see him avoid the 710 as he went for the front 6, the Motel 6 6th frame.
Yeah, right out of commercial break is a tough one to throw, one of the toughest, and Mike gets lucky not leaving that 710 split. That would have been catastrophic. At this point, at least, he knows he can strike out, and Walter Ray can't shut him out.
Takes care of that with a strike of the 6th. He would have earned $600 from Motel 6, official lodging partner of the PBA. Also eligible for a $6,000 bonus if he throws the front 6 more than any bowler on TV this year.
Because, Dave, it's all about the Benjamins.
The Benjamins. Correct.
Mike Machuga had quite a battle with Parker in the third in the round of 32 match. Parker came out on fire with a perfect game in game 1. Machuga took the next 2 games and then bowled a 300 to 279 puncher in game 7.
That one really hit the end of the oil pattern and took a jet toward a high shot. Lucky to avoid a split, just has a 10-pin.
And Norm, do you think this is why most of the players that have all the success on the cheetah pattern, they play the lanes much straighter? Is it because of this? One ball, when you're trying to hook it, one ball goes a little light, the next one jumps up and goes through the face on you?
Yeah, there's so much friction to the right. If you overhit the ball and get it into that area, it goes high. And normally on this pattern, you pay full penalty for it with the splits. Now, Mike was lucky that only to shoot his 10-pin. He's still in this match.
Well, we talked about just about every record in the Denny's PBA Tour book belongs to this guy. 157 times now on TV. Won the Japan Cup, tied with Wes Malott. Parker Bone the third. 5 shows this year. There's a 10-pin for Walter Ray.
Yeah, Mike told me that Walter Ray Williams has more television appearances than Mike has tournaments bowled on this tour. That is a lot of TV, Randy.
Yeah.
He is incredibly competitive. Told us last night, still loves being out there every week. Takes care of the 10-pin at 47 years old, still among the elite bowlers of the world. No question about that, having a very good season.
And the best spare shooter that has ever walked this land.
I think he's got more shows than reruns of Seinfeld in syndication.
And that's a lot.
But I'm just going out on a limb with that one.
I think you're exactly right, partner.
This looks good.
It sure was. Entered the week, and this shows 6th in the rankings in the world on the Denny's PBA Tour. And we talked about the possibility of Player of the Year. He can win here today, make a statement in the final 3 majors. He's got a shot like a lot of guys. He told us last night, never seen the race this wide open in all his years on tour.
One thing that I learned over the years bowling against Walter Ray Williams Jr. is that when you have a chance to shut him out, you better. And that's what Mike Machuga has right here in front of him. He can strike out and close the door on Walter Ray.
Here's one.
Norm, did he move his target in a little bit there? That wasn't near as far right down the lane.
On the right lane, I think he's been mishitting it just a little bit, causing the ball to get out a little farther than intended. Now, he may have moved left incrementally, but I think more than anything, he just made a better shot. Got the ball longer down the lane, didn't need all that friction to pull it back.
In the foundation frame to take a 20-pin lead.
Well, that's a big shot for Mike right there. If he misses, Walter Ray can just step up and end it for him. He needs the strike to make sure that he can dictate who the winner of this match will be.
Back to Walter Ray. 10-pin.
And as I said before, people that could get that 10-pin out, those were the people that were surviving the longest in the tournament.
Well, the best he can shoot now is 238 if he spares here. Mike Machuga's already in the 240s. Michael just need a mark for the 10th frame. He's going to bowl for the title here.
We asked Walter last night if he still enjoys competing. He said emphatically yes. Loves to be out there with the young guns like Mike Machuga. There's a 9-pin for Walter Ray.
Boy, that was a big shot, too, because Walter Ray knows that to force Mike Machuga to mark in the 10th to win, that's a tall order when you're sending it toward the gutter, Randy. Now, if you're throwing it up the second arrow, it's a lot different than throwing that thing toward the gutter for a mark.
Second semifinals coming up. Mike Miniman will make his first ever Denny's PBA Tour TV appearance against Dale Traber. His brother Dave has one on tour. Dale has been in 2 TV shows, but none since 2000. Not the ball reaction Walter wanted there on a change. He's having fun there with Big Four. And Mike Machuga will advance to the finals.
And Walter Ray moved in and tried to hook it. He says, Mike, how do you play that big hook ball?
Go ahead, y'all can make noise.
Not that way. Big Four. This guy can hook it.
Maybe he should shut up the crowd before each shot. All 10 down, and he will advance on to the final and take on the winner of Mike Miniman and Dale Traber. Between those two, they've got 38 regional titles, but none on the Denny's PBA Tour. And the family and friends who have made the trip from Erie, Pennsylvania have got to be ecstatic here, as Mike has rolled over the king.
Yeah, the only time, that Machuga has ever bowled Walter Ray Williams on television was for the title in Cincinnati in 01.
See how far we can go.
For it, that never beats Walter Ray. He knew it. This time, strike for 268.
He lost that match 247-194 in Cincinnati in 01. Today, it belongs to Mike Machuga. A convincing win over Walter Ray Williams Jr., and now he's off to the final. In a bid for a second Denny's PBA Tour title, Machuga looks outstanding. Much more coming up from West Virginia next. Last year here in Parkersburg, West Virginia, Sean Rash tried to become the first ever bowler to go through the TQR Tour qualifying round and win a Denny's PBA Tour title. A former Wichita State Shocker thrilled the crowd here in Parkersburg with his father in attendance coming all the way from Alaska. Got to the finals against Mike Devaney. It came down to the last few shots. Devaney left a 10-pin and Rash had wrapped up a title and made history at the same time.
Here's a look at some of our exempt bowlers trying to gain an exemption for 07-08. Sean Rash, remember, was a non-exempt bowler when he won this event last season. Tino Castillo, almost an insurmountable lead over Edward Van Daneker Jr. Andrew Kane, we saw him a few weeks back when he made his first show ever. Dino's been certainly red hot this season, Norm. He was an exempt player last season, fell out of the exempt status, so he's had to go by way of the TQRs, the tournament qualifying rounds. This week averaged an amazing 257.
Yeah, that's to lead his third one, and you know, he's drawing from the experience that he got last year, even though he didn't gain the exemption with points. But he's drawing from that experience, and he's really making good use of it.
He's led 3, which is a record. He's made 8 cuts, which ties the record, and he's currently 44th on the point list.
Well, Randy and Norma, a few weeks ago on the Denny's PBA Tour, our TV show in Las Vegas, we witnessed the success of Billy Oatman, the first ever African-American bowler on the Denny's PBA Tour to earn exempt status. Made the final, lost to Jason Couch in a thriller, but he's not the first ever bowler, African-American, to bowl for a PBA title. Pioneers like George Brown III has won 5 titles, along with Curtis Odom paving the way.
There's joy in Fairlawn, Ohio for Jackie and George Branham.
Yes, I am a black role model, whether I wanted to be or not, but since I am, then I might as well run with it. It's an honor to be labeled as such. Now, I understand it's because of the pioneers, George Branhams, the Curtis Odoms. It's because of them that led to me. They're handing the torch off to me. And I feel honored that it's me, because they gave me this moniker of being the first African-American on the Denny's PBA Tour. I feel honored. I really do. I like it. It doesn't put any added pressure on me. It's a celebration. It's a victory. It's a chance for kids that was my age when I saw George Brandon win his title understand that they can do that. I mean, we need this. good publicity is always better than bad publicity. And because I am kind of a social butterfly, I guess it fits right in.
I'm in the house.
A few weeks ago at the Motel 6 Classic in Las Vegas, Billy Oatman made a run at the title. His showdown in the finals with superstar Jason Couch was a nail-biter that went right down to the 10th frame. It was exciting to watch.
In the 10th frame, when Jason got up to strike out, I knew he was gonna, I had a feeling that he was gonna double, but if he got open, that would have been great if he would have just handed me the title. But I was prepared for him to double because I already saw that I would have to strike out to beat him. I wanted him to strike out. I wanted him to double, so I'd have to. Do you know how much bragging rights that would have been? Double in the 10th strikeout, Jason Couch for the title to stop his back-to-back career. First time on TV. My mom in the back, I wanted her for her the most. I really did. She's always wanted me to make it to the show so she can be on the show. She really wanted me to win, but it was more important about making it to the show. And for her to be able to do that and watch the whole event of how it transformed into that, and then watch her son perform. And so I took my time, struck. The second shot I said, you know, I don't want to have it that flush because it can finish a little hot. But I'm going to give it a little extra juice to make sure it's going to recover. And all I wanted to do was concentrate on hitting the pocket and making a good shot. And I did, and I thought I did, and I just thought it was going to fall. And then at the end of the day, the 10 pin was still standing. And as you all saw, it's hard for me to hide my emotions. I am the way I am. But the heck with it, I'm Billy Oatman, and that you saw, you got what you got. It's fun now. I'm still, these are the guys I saw before. You know, I used to think that I had to compete against them. Now I'm like, shoot, they got to compete against me.
Well, Billy and the rest of the Denny's PBA Tour are returning to North Brunswick, New Jersey. Season's second major, the 64th U.S. Open. Chris Barnes has won it. Tommy Jones took it a year ago to try to defend his title. He'll be there, along with a field of nearly 500 for the world's best pro and amateur bowlers, all there. First place in this prestigious event takes $100,000 and a 3-season exemption on the Denny's PBA Tour. We're starting at noon Eastern, special time next week. That is Mike Miniman. This will be his first ever Denny's PBA Tour TV appearance against Dale Traber, who has not been on TV for almost exactly 7 years. The second semifinal from Parkersburg is next. Mike Machuga, 264-223 winner over the legend, the King Walter A. Williams Jr. The first match. Dale Traber, Mike Miniman to follow. Machuga awaits the winner in the finals. More than 3,000 bowling fans have already joined the fun at bowling digital destination bowlspace.com. Bowlspace, the first online social network exclusively for bowlers, where you can share pictures, videos, and stories with bowlers from around the world to create your own profile. Simply click on the Bowlspace link on the PBA.com homepage today. Be sure to check it out. Ready for Mike Miniman and Dale Traber. We just saw Steve Rogers, a PBA bowler, who's Mike's roommate, very good friends from the Chicago area. From Belleville, Illinois. It's actually closer to St. Louis. But they know each other well for the regional ranks. Can you believe the first ever TV shot for Mike Miniman is a 7-10 split with his wife Terry in attendance?
This is rude. I mean, just plain rude, Norm. Welcome to television, Mike. Mike is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and this is what he gets.
She can't believe it.
Well, all the nerves. Oh, he's gonna make it!
Oh my God! He almost did it. It would have been the first since Jess Staybrook in '91 on TV to convert the 7-10, and he just missed.
Watch this, man. This is perfect. He gets the 10 pin up on the deck, and he goes right in front of it. Are you kidding me?
Wow. How about a start for Mike Miniman?
Dramatic. Dale Traber will leave no such split This is Dale's first show since the year 2000. He's from Cedarburg, Wisconsin, just outside Milwaukee, one of the most decorated amateur bowlers in Wisconsin State history. There's his brother Dave, Randy's former tour roommate and a PBA champion himself.
Yeah, I had to throw him out of the room, though. He snored too loud.
Back to Dale. Big start for him, 109 PBA events without a PBA national title. He told us last night have won all these regional events, 35, which is tied for third all time.
Yeah,
several local events in Milwaukee. He's been on TV there a lot, but winning at this level has been different.
Yeah, and he loves the outside line, as does Mike Miniman. Both of them just love to pipe that first arrow.
First strike on TV for Mike Miniman. And Randy, as we check out the Ace Hardware matchup, we saw Mike come out in the Cleveland Browns garb with Kellen Winslow Jr.'s jersey. Huge Cleveland sports fan, despite the fact he comes from St. Louis.
Yeah, he really is a big sports fan. He loves the NFL. He loves Major League Baseball. And he loves any sports team from Cleveland. But this matchup right here is about one thing and one thing only, and that's two guys throwing it really straight. Both players like to go real straight and direct like that. And it was funny, Norman, you mentioned, or you made mention of how Traber likes to play out. We asked Mike Miniman last night, Mike, how'd you play the lanes this week? He said, straight from first arrow.
That's all he has. You know, when I say that's all he has, he practices one thing and one thing only all the time, and that makes him very good at it.
Mike has won 3 regional titles in his career. That is essentially the equivalent of the minor leagues of the PBA Tour. One in Elkhorn, Nebraska. One in Fairview Heights, Illinois as well. Best ever PBA finish for Mike. Round of 16, the 03 Odor Eaters Open in Louisville, Kentucky. That's the furthest he's ever gone. Until today, that is. Dale Traber wants to win as well. Time for help on the 10-pin.
You know, that right lane is troublesome for the players that are going straight. They're seeming to leave a little more 10 pins on the right lane than the left.
And they're all weak 10s. Walter Ray left a couple weak 10s on that lane, and here you see Dale leaving one.
Last year became exempt after the Midwest Regional champ in region level. 0405, and then made it in points last year, but barely went right down to the very last event.
Here you see it tied for third all-time in regional titles with Sam Zurich, who now lives down in Florida, not too far from me. He used to be a New York guy. Your leader in regionals, for those of you wondering, the colorful Guppy Troop with 38.
Uh-oh, that ball checks up real early.
6-pin.
When I say checks up, it starts to move about 10 feet earlier than the shot prior on that lane, causing the ball hook up high. It's lucky not to leave a split, Randy.
Norm, you love playing that outside line. What adjustment should Dale make after that shot there?
Well, I was playing that outside line all week, and the only move I had was to overthrow it, just throw it harder. As soon as I moved my feet in, trying to get a little oil to get some push, I lost the angle and I started leaving those flat 10s, just like we saw Walter Ray and Dale Traber on the right lane.
Roto TV for Mike Miniman. You ask yourself, he's from St. Louis, why a Browns fan? Well, his dad was a big St. Louis area sports fan, and he was just kind of rivals with his dad growing up, wanted to have a different team to root for, as fathers and sons often do, picked Cleveland, and now has become a huge Cleveland area sports fan. There's all 10 down for the Browns, Indians, and Cavs fan. He said Leroy Kelly is all-time favorite Cleveland Brown. Indian, he wasn't really sure about that. Went with Albert Bell. We asked him last night about it. And for the Cavs, Brad Daugherty, Mark Price, and of course, the current king, LeBron James.
Mike Miniman and Dale Traber, which I thought was kind of an interesting story. These two will actually be traveling together after this show to the U.S. Open in New Jersey.
Behind and a 9-pin.
Mike Miniman's ball also hooking up a little early on that left lane. He's lucky not to leave a split. Of course, after the first frame, he's deserving a little luck. Very good spare shooter, Mike is.
Saw how intense his wife Terry was with the opening 7-10 there. First time she's ever been to a Denny's PBA Tour event. Seen him bowl for titles in regionals before, but never this far. They have a son, Ryan, who's a collegiate bowler at Southern Illinois at Edwardsville, which is about 30 minutes from Belleville, where they live. He's competing in a collegiate event this week and couldn't make the show, but he's watching right now. Back to Dale Traber. Split.
Pocket splits. Very interesting.
Yeah, same thing now in the right lane. The ball's moving up a little early, and that is what happens when you get too many guys playing the same shot on the lane. You start tracking that spot up, and your break point moves toward you about 10 or 12 feet. Not good.
Dale Traber, 49 years of age. Mike Miniman, 48 years of age. So basically what you're seeing here, folks, is future of the senior tour.
And I imagine Dale will really clean up there after such success at the regional level. Leaves the open frame here. Check in with the weekly update brought to us by Flomax. See the point rank and the finish for each here. Dale Traber coming in outside the number, which is 40 right now. He's made TV. Mike Machuga.
Come on.
To the final. Trying to be exempt for next year. He wasn't planning, Mike was, to actually bowl in this event. But because he was outside the number of points, wanted to get himself a little closer to being exempt for next season. A victory today, he'll clinch that spot. He'll take on either Mike Miniman and Dale Traber. They are going for their first ever title. Machuga awaits them in the finals. We wrap up this semifinal next. The Bear Classic on ESPN is brought to you by Go RVing. Visit GoRVing.com for a free DVD. What will you discover? Go RVing. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit Geico.com. And by H&R Block. When you got H&R Block, you got people. There is Mike Machuga, who knocked off Walter Ray Williams Jr. in the first semifinal, 264-223 on the practice lanes. He's getting himself loose and ready, thinking strategy for the final here at Emerson Lanes in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Well, on the bubble on the Denny's PBA Tour. How about the Tournament of Champions, which wraps up the regular season in Connecticut? Right now, the four bowlers you see are right on the bubble. If Dale Traber or Mike Miniman were to win today, Lonnie Walczak's charmed life, Norm, will finally come to an end. For 14 straight weeks, he's been sitting right there, smack dab on the bubble, because no one who has not won ahead of him on the list has knocked him off.
And leave Lonnie alone, man. My man Lonnie's still there.
He's still there, but Robert Smith and Richie Allen will both be competing in the Tournament of Champions. So Lonnie Walczak does not have a shot at getting one of those two spots. Welcome back, Robert Smith and Richie Allen. Can't wait.
Wrist injury for Richie Allen knocked him out of this season. Hip problem for Robert Smith. Down by 6, works on a spare. Mike Miniman, first ever TV show from just outside St. Louis. All 10 down.
And guys, on a somber note, Matt Freeberg, PBA member who bowls in each of our TQRs every week. He led the TQR in Medford. We'd like to send out our well wishes and condolences to his family. His father, Philip, passed away on Saturday morning. Matt flew home yesterday to be with his family. Our hearts and prayers go out to the Freeberg family.
All 10 down for Mike Miniman, who owns the pro shop, Sinclair Bowl, Fairview Heights, Illinois, just outside St. Louis. And tries his best on the Denny's PBA Tour every week to go through the TQR Tour qualifying round. Norm, that's no easy matter to try to battle every week with that qualifier to get into the round of 64.
Yeah, many times that's a tougher cut to make than the round of 32 is. There's just so few spots given up.
Oh, high, another split.
God, a little more speed on that lane. He's expecting the ball to hold up. Leaves the same split, the 4-9, well, the combination anyway.
Well, how much of this and the 4-9 do you think was a result of the week 10 he left back in the third frame.
Just about all of it. I mean, you can't sit here and win games leaving half tens, at least not on the cheetah pattern. So you try to get that ball to creep up in that flush zone. Back-to-back 4-9 splits. He's going to take a run at it.
Boy, he'll miss all three in the 4-7-9, and that's a disaster this late in the match. The tide has turned dramatically for Mike Miniman. His first ever TV show to make his first ever final. Mike Machuga waits.
Could it be the magic of Emerson Lanes in West Virginia? The TQR guy goes all the way and wins.
Last year here with Sean Rash. First ever title and the first ever through the TQR to do it.
Yeah, and he's parlayed that into something. He's now got 3 titles. Can't wait for the Tournament of Champions, he says.
Speak of the devil.
Here's a young star. He's 2 for 2 TV shows and titles this year. 3 for 3 for his career. Former Wichita State Shocker. Sees Dale Traber, who, by the way, is in the Greater Milwaukee Bowling Association Hall of Fame and the County Hall of Fame in that area, take care of the spare.
Right now, Mike Miniman can step up in the 8th and 9th frame and take care of Dale Traber.
It's plus 20 right now. A strike here would go to 30. She's striking the 9th, it would go to 40. It would be game over.
Has a 10-pin. Mike told us last night he wasn't sure what to expect. First time on TV. Such a different feel than any other event, any other round of bowling.
Yeah, and how can you know what to expect? You've never been there. You know, you watch it on television and you think, what would it be like? Holding that ball, needing a strike to win.
The only winner on that list you see there, folks, that's Billy Oatman. Billy making history this year. Won his first match before losing to Jason Couch in his TV debut in Vegas earlier in the second half of our season. Rita Kalfas last week lost in his TV debut in Omaha Council Bluffs. So we've seen a lot of first-timers on TV this year, but no wins. Maybe that changes today. Big shot, Mike Miniman, who told us last night so often he's called his wife Terry at home back in suburban St. Louis with bad news about the TQR. Well, honey, he didn't make it again this time. A long drive, no money, didn't cash out. Well, this time he's all the way to the show, and his wife is here to watch it.
Yeah, that's special. It hurts sometimes when you have to call the wife and tell them what happened, you know. Oof. Dale Traber.
10-pin.
Making an adjustment from back-to-back 4-9s on the right lane, and you get right back where you were, Randy, with the 10-pin.
Has he missed the pocket this game? No. He's shooting. He's in the 170s. He hasn't missed the pocket yet. He makes an adjustment out the 4-9. The 4-7-9 goes ring 10. And right now, Mike Miniman just needs to stay clean in the 10th frame, and he will move on to face Mike Machuga for the title.
Wow. Dale Traber works in a furniture warehouse for a major department store in Milwaukee. He's been there 30 years, so he actually works there most of the week and then flies to the Denny's PBA Tour event since he is exempt after just making it barely on points last year, and then goes right back home to Milwaukee and goes back to work, does the same thing. It's a long grind every week for Dale Traber. All right.
Yeah, and Dale knows the situation. With one more strike, he can force not only a non-winner, a guy who's never been on television before, to get up and make a mark in the 10th to win and advance to Mike Machuga. That is a tall order for anyone that has never been in that position. Dale, being experienced like he is, he knows all of this.
Looks for another 10. Won't get it.
Never misses the pocket.
Low game of the week.
And shoots 170. His low game of the week. You just heard him say it. That's got to be pretty frustrating, Norm.
Well, I would think so. I mean, it's not like he's on television a lot. When you get your chance, you like to take full advantage of it. This is his third trip to TV. He hasn't won yet.
And you know, Brother Dave has spent a lot of time over Mike Miniman's house over the years. So I'm wondering if Dave stayed to watch Brother Dale or Mike Miniman.
Or Mike Miniman, of course. I will be riding to the U.S. Open with Mike Machuga after this telecast, and I'll tell you what we won't do. We're not going to follow Dale Traber and Mike Miniman because they're going to be having fights in the front seat. Arguments.
You saw what Miniman needs. He'll go Brooklyn for all 10. Why not? And he'll advance to the final in his first ever TV show to take on Mike Machuga for the title. Steve Rogers and Mike's wife Terry very pleased. 1 down, 1 to go. Mike told us last night that Terry's just been an emotional wreck, and ever since he called her to say that he was going to be in the running, then she was watching the PBA.com virtual live scoring. A lot of tears shed.
And there's a guy right there that's salivating. He shot 264 in his opener. Remember, he was hooking the whole lane, and he's going to go up against the guy who just shot, well, bowled 218 with a strike on his fill shot. I don't know, Norm. Do you think 218 is good enough to beat Mike Machuga in the title match?
I don't think so. No, not 218, but I don't look for 218 to come out of Mike Miniman this game either. Remember, he left the pocket split in the first. That was a better game than 218.
Regardless of the number, 217, 178. Keep it going. Mike Miniman, in his first ever TV show, after all those years of battling through the regionals, look at his pro shop outside St. Louis. Has a chance for a championship. But Mike Machuga has other ideas. 217, 178 the final on that semifinal. When we return to Parkersburg, West Virginia, a championship match. Who takes home the title? We'll find out. There is Mike Machuga, very Pennsylvania, getting set to bid for his second career Denny's PBA Tour title. He'll take on Mike Miniman in his first ever show for the championship here at Emerson Lanes in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Each week, you give you an inside look at some of Walter Ray Williams' greatest victories. Let's join Walter Ray from his RVs. We go on the road to number 1, brought to you by Go RVing.
The 98 U.S. Open was the first time that I won the U.S. Open. 93, I led the tournament, but finished second. Pulled a couple guys from Maryland, Marty Letcher and Tim Chris, on the TV show. Tim Chris, a really good friend of mine. He actually traveled in an RV for quite a few years, he and his wife and daughter. Anyway, I managed to make some good shots. I beat Tim for the title, and I think I shot about 220 to beat him and to win my first U.S. Open. So that was obviously a good victory for me.
Join us as we travel with Walter Ray in his RV on the road. Number 1, visit GoRVing.com to plan your trip. And let's go on the road the Denny's PBA Tour, brought to us by Go RVing, where you go to the U.S. Open, Brunswick's own Carolier, North Brunswick, New Jersey. Next week, note at 12 Eastern Time on ESPN. It is the U.S. Open, second of 4 majors this year. Pro-Am times available at PBA.com. And the Pepsi Championship from Woodland Bowl, Indianapolis. We're back at 12:30 Eastern. You see the times as well for the Pro-Am. And we're joined by the finalists. Mike Miniman, let's start with you. How would you best describe the emotions right now?
Running high. I finally got to this point. I won the first match. Now I get a shot at a title. I know it's going to be extremely tough going against this gentleman behind you, but, you know, I'm going to give it my best shot. That's all I can do.
You have been going from the outside, taking that path to the pocket. Will you change your strategy here?
No, not at all. Live or die with that. That's the way it's going to be.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Mike Machuga. So we know that Mike Miniman is go from the outside in, and you're going to hook the ball. How will that help you in this match?
Well, it's you know, all week it's been straighter's greater, and I really haven't had a chance to hook it all week. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Coming off the groin injury, a long time since you've been back on TV at the Japan Cup. What are your emotions like right now?
Just going to work. You know, I've been here enough that I feel really comfortable. I've got a lot of family and friends here rooting me on, so I'm just looking to put on a good show.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Dave.
So it's the Mike and Mike Show in the final here in Parkersburg, West Virginia today. When we return to Emerson Lanes, will it be Miniman coming through the TQR, or will it be Machuga bidding for a second title? The final is on the way. Well, we know one thing is certain. It's the first ever TV meeting between Mike Miniman and Mike Machuga, because the second Mike on the list makes his TV debut today here at the Bear Classic. Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, Miller Duke, our entire crew. Emerson Lanes, Parkersburg, West Virginia for a second straight year, the third time overall. Randy, let's check in with a Geico championship recap.
Dave, don't ever tell me what to do. Semifinal number 1, Mike Machuga. He takes on the great one, Walter Ray Williams Jr. He beats him by the score of 264 to 223. Jukes crushes Walter Ray. Semifinal number 2, Mike Miniman defeated Dale Traber by the score of 217 to 178. Miniman's first time on television, wins his first game. Now he goes for his first title ever.
This week's Geico championship recap.
Yeah, the brush. That's the shoe brush that Mike Machuga and Brian Voss all share. When you win a title, you scribble out a couple of real quick tidbits on the thing. You take it to TV, and you always feel like the other two are watching you, you know?
So if you win, you keep the brush. If you don't win, you got to give it back to the guy who won the last title?
You got to give it back to the other guy. Yeah.
Got it.
Norm, Brian Voss, Mike Machuga, all very close friends on the Denny's PBA Tour.
I can't deal with that.
Something threw him off there.
Well, at least he had enough presence of mind there to stop in mid-form.
Appreciate that.
He was focused, and he's got a 10-pin. Now, Norm, we talked about the groin injury for Mike Machuga and all the things that resulted, the bad habits. What sorts of things did he do to try to compensate because of the pain?
Well, you know, he was going through some pain, so every left step, it just didn't feel as bad when the step went further to the left. So that was the bad habit he got into, and he was unaware of it, of course. And sometimes it takes over a month just to figure out what's going on.
Well, the Japan Cup in September, and then beginning of the stateside schedule, as we see Mike come back up here from just outside St. Louis. Just before the Masters, Mike Machuga injured the groin. Took a long time to heal. Almost deferred his exemption. Miniman. Double wood. 2-8.
Well, he's going to be a little nervous at the start of this match. First time ever bowling for a title, and he got this ball in. It was a bad shot. He just needs to shut down the computer and just put it on autopilot and look at a target and let it go.
Be difficult to describe the emotions here, guys. It's a long time coming here for Mike Miniman, 48 years old. Here's the double wood, covers, and you know a sigh of relief. Normally, as we check in with the Ace Hardware matchup, Machuga bids for a second title, Miniman's first ever TV show. For each, the heart just got to be thumping right now, huh?
Oh, yeah, both of them want to win badly, and this game is going to go by so quickly. It's incredible, especially your very first title match. It's over before you know it. Really good shot here.
Perfect, all 10 down for Mike Miniman. 114 bowlers, guys, entered in the TQR. Only 7 would make it to the round of 64. Mike, one of those, trying to accomplish the near impossible. Make that run. It's just not easy. There's the 7, Machuga's only title, Omaha Council Bluffs last season.
Norm, a lot more angle in this match for Mike Machuga than in his first match against Walter Ray Williams Jr. And right off the bat, what I'm seeing is bad pin carry. Do you think it's too much angle?
Well, I think all week long, the angle was bad because getting the corner pins out was tougher when you played the big hook. However, in this match, I think that the lanes have dried out enough to the right to allow him to get farther left than most of the times during the week. Another 6 boards, 7 boards to the left, I think gives him better carry.
Moves it high. Just the touch, though. And a 4-pin for Mike Machuga.
What do you think if Mike were to move a giant step to the right and throw it straight? Remember, you know, you've said it. He's versatile. He can play straight. He can hook it. What about a big giant step to the right and play where Miniman's playing, take his hand out of it and go much straighter?
Well, the good thing is that is an option for Mike Machuga. He's good enough to make that decision. But at this point, I think he's committed to hooking the ball, and I think he likes his chances at winning better hooking it than straight. Otherwise, we'd see him go straight right now.
That's what they said, Norm, right in the pre-match interview. They're going to stay with the strategy. We see from lane to lane, though, Randy, Machuga's making a move.
I think it's in the wrong direction. I don't think you want to just keep moving left and creating more angle. I think Mike needs to somehow find a way to chase it right.
This Mike with a 2-pin lead has the 10-pin again going for the strike.
And as long as Miniman doesn't double, that gives Mike Machuga time.
Well, you know, the 10 pins come basically because there's too much oil traveling down the lane. It retards the ball's ability to hook up into the pins, carrying them. Now, if both players are leaving 10 pins, then it really isn't that sensible to make that move to the right.
Percentage on the single pin pickup will rise there for Mike Miniman. George Lambert the fourth lost in the Masters TV debut. Steve Rogers lost in Hammond, Indiana, where Norm won earlier this year. Andrew Kane lost in Fountain Valley. Billy Oatman, the win-loss, the only one of the forwards this year to make his TV debut with a win in that show. And then Riga Kalfas last week in Omaha lost. But maybe Mike Miniman, not only one victory, will have the tournament title as well. Wouldn't that be something? He's got a 2-pin lead on Mike Machuga. We heard Chubes a moment ago say, commercial break, he'll figure it out. We'll see if that pays off when we return.
The NBA on.
Great to see Steve Lorenz, the owner of Emerson Lanes, and his staff here in Parkersburg, West Virginia. All three of the Denny's PBA Tour events held here. The first one going back to 1965. And the last 2 years have been played out right here at Emerson Lanes. The far west side of West Virginia, just to the border with Ohio. It's right across the road from where we are. Fourth frame. Machuga down, 2 pins. Perfect shot.
Boy, he really gave that one the business. He's got a beautiful release at the bottom of the swing, boy. And I think it's a direct result of, like Norm talked about before, getting his feet walking in the right direction. His body position is flawless. He's got a very nice backswing. It's not too high. It's about parallel to the floor. And then when he gets to the bottom of the swing, everything kind of stays put.
Yeah, it looks like Dan Marino at the bottom of the swing. This is the quickest release in bowling.
Yes, baby. All 10 down, crushed into the pit by Mike Machuga. I actually did speak with our commissioner, Fred Schreier, about considering a deferment with the groin injury. But decided, well, I'm going to tough it out. I love bowling Norm that much. You know, from being his good friend, it means so much for him to be out here competing week in, week out.
Yeah, and he didn't realize that the injury had caused so many bad habits, to be honest with you.
Back to Miniman. Strike for him.
Mike Miniman's got a little bit of history on his side. He's a pro shop owner at St. Clair Bowl. For those of you who have never heard of St. Clair Bowl, well, it hosted the last ever ABC Pro Bowlers event.
That's when everybody cried.
That's when Bo cried. That's when Chris Schenkel cried.
I cried.
I cried. And right now...
But you're a ball bag.
What?
That means you cry a lot.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Just because I'm sensitive. We got a game, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Big strike, Mike Miniman. He's staying right in this match. Has the 12-pin lead with the turkey. Mike bowled here last year and actually watched the final where Sean Rash ran the table, becoming the first ever out of the tour qualifying round to win a title.
I'm going to do it here.
It's a magical moment see the title match record for Machuga. Takes the re-rack here. Only title in Omaha Council Bluffs last year for him.
Mike Machuga, semifinal number 1. You can see the line he was playing then, throwing it out to about the 3rd board. This is what he's doing in the championship match. A good 7-8 boards left.
Yeah, I think he saw himself on the down lane monitor there. Kind of
Randy was a little loud, that's all.
No, I think he heard me.
Oops.
Sure, I'm not a little sensitive.
Sorry, Mike.
Mike, I apologize. You know, if he doesn't strike on this ball,
it's your fault.
I'm getting blamed.
Have a look at it. And a 10-pin. Great shot.
Rack keeps getting tighter.
That was a great shot. He just re-racked the right lane. As he said, it's a little tight. You can see right there at 3-pin, a little closer to the 1-pin than desired.
Norm?
Sends the 6-pin right around.
Was that my fault?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm off the hook.
Down 13 as he picks up the 10-pin, takes the spare 6 frame. This is going to be a tie finish here between Mike and Mike. Machuga told us today before the show he felt if he beat Walter Ray, logically thinking against Mike Miniman, never been on TV, Dale Traber, no titles, he'd be the favorite. He's in a hole now.
Look out.
Way high. And a very challenging 4-10.
Yeah, he overhit that ball, got it to the right soon, overhooks, through the nose, base full penalty. Mike Miniman sitting on the bench. Can't wait to get up and try to extend the lead.
Miss each, and that hurts him count as well badly for Mike Machuga. His family witnesses a crucial error.
They had a really bad time in the match as well, and what you're seeing today is a couple of different ways to attack this cheetah pattern. For those of you at home that would like to experience the same thing, join the PBA Experience League. You can figure out how to throw the ball straight on this pattern, and you can also hook it. It gives you many options. This man, we know what he's going to do. He's going to throw it pretty straight right around 7th, 8th board, looking for 4 in a row.
Huge strike for Mike Miniman. A 4-bagger puts him in great shape here in his first ever show. Guys, it's just an amazing story. Last year, at this very event, he just missed out on a spot in qualifying, so he didn't get a check. He called his wife, Terry, back home. There she's with Steve Rogers, wringing her hands. He was going to go home. He already had a reservation in New Jersey at a hotel for the U.S. Open. She said, stick with it. Don't give up. So he went. The county wanted there, certainly.
Boy, that shot could have put the hurt on Mike Machuga right there.
Yeah, that would, a strike here puts him in the 230s, and all he would have needed to do was mark out in the 9th and 10th. There's still life for Mike Machuga, and needs to cover this pair.
And just to finish that story, guys, the U.S. Open, he missed the first cut by 6 pins, so he missed out on a check there. He said that was the worst 2 weeks I've ever had in bowling. Just a terrible experience. Ironically, a year later, here he is, same bowling center, on the verge, potentially the title.
Careful.
Watch out! Spoke too soon. An open frame, 8-pin count, and the door swings the other way here.
Well, he not only opens, but now he draws the count even. He's at 173 right now. Mike Machuga with a mark in the 8th will be at 153. This match anything but over.
Now you got to shoot it now.
Mike talking about the right lane rack. He says you have to shoot it now. Evidently he's out of re-racks, and he doesn't like the rack on the right lane.
Get the 10.
Big one.
Boy, that's when you're bowling real good, is when you throw the ball down there and you're worried about only 1 pin, the 10 pin. Nothing to worry about here, Randy.
Wow, is that a lot of angle? The only time I have that much angle is when I'm shooting a 10-pin.
Frame.
Wow. Hey, that ball split the 8, 9 in half, almost left a stone 9, and Mike Machuga knows he needs them all. He can strike out now in the 10th frame for 223. But he can't shut out Mike Miniman. Miniman, excuse me, can shoot 233, striking out 9th and 10th.
Foundation frame, big one. 10-pin.
And now we have the possibility of a tie. Spare here, he strikes out, he shoots 223. 3 strikes in the 10th for Machuga, 223. This is what makes championship matches, coming down to the 10th frame. Who can step up, who can perform, who can control their heart rate, their emotions, who can keep their wits about them when they need it most.
There's a 10-pin. Takes care of that single pin conversion.
Yeah, and at this point, those 10 pins, just a 10-pin spare, that thing looks so small. All of those easy spares, they say, that 10 pins an easy spare, not in this situation.
Huge strike. Pure. That was perfect at the right moment.
Miniman taking a re-rack, buying some time, taking his time. Wife Terry watching on.
Yeah, he re-racks this before he even gets to see the rack. He's just looking for time.
Yep.
Had that re-rack in the bank.
40 years of bowling going into this 10th frame for Mike Miniman. The biggest shot of his professional career right here.
Yes, at the very least, a strike here makes Mike Machuga get 2 in the 10th to win.
Looks good. It is good. Perfect shot, Mike Miniman.
You gotta want it. Come on.
When he needed it most. Told us last night, winning a PBA title will be like winning 15 regional titles. I mean, just the satisfaction after all these years. Does he have it?
What a finish.
What a finish.
Machuga needs all 3 in the 10th for a tie. Anything less, Mike Miniman wins his first ever title. He repeats what Sean Rash did in this very building last year.
House of the TQR Tour qualifying round. Amazing. Sean Rash did it last year. It was his first title. He's now won 3. He's got to have it. 10-pin, and that's it.
Oh, my God.
Boy, he sure likes this one, too. This is off his hand really clean, gets it all the way out to the driest part of the lane, and here it comes.
Oh.
No love on the 10-pin. And it's Miniman begin again at 49 years old.
I did it, Stevie.
I know you did.
Utter disbelief.
And
And there's John Rash with the congratulatory hug. Rash the first last year for the TQR. Miniman the second ever to do it in the very same bowling center here in Parkersburg. A big hug for his ball rep and Coach Rick Benoit, too.
Wow.
Just the second ever to do it. His first title in his first show. Mike Miniman, 3 times a regional champ, is exempt for next year. Machuga is still going to wait for his second title. The Bear Classic on ESPN is brought to you by Ace, the official hardware store of the PBA. Ace, the helpful place. By Bear, the more you know, the more you trust Bear. By Atonic, the official footwear of the PBA. Atonic, first one there. And by Motel 6, official lodging partner of the PBA. For the lowest price of any national chain, go to motel6.com. Mike Miniman makes some history. First ever TV show, first ever Denny's PBA Tour title. He defeats Mike Machuga in the final. For a recap, let's go to Randy and Norm.
Thanks, Dave. And your most unlikely winner today, we'll get to that in a minute. But in semifinal number 1, Mike Machuga, hook in the lane, takes down Walter A. Williams Jr.
Yeah, he utilizes all the power to take that down the great one.
Semifinal number 2, Mike Miniman, bowling his friend, a travel mate on tour, Dale Traber. He takes down Traber by the score 217 to 178. And in the title match, Norm, when it looked like Strader was not greater, Mike Miniman proved everybody wrong, striking out in the 10th frame. Machuga needs his hit.
Yeah, all that power he has, just could not get enough power to knock that 10th pin over.
Let's go down to the floor. Dave Ryan and our winner.
All right, Mike is here with his wife, Terry. Congratulations, Mike. How would you best describe the feeling? You're on the bench. You watch Mike Machuga not strike in the 10th for your first time.
I was worried because I figured with a man of that caliber, he'd strike out. There could have been a roll-off and anything could happen, but to come through a field with this caliber bowlers out here, it's just incredible. It's just been a magical week, and I did it.
You sure did. Congratulations, Mike. Exempt for next year as well. Mike Miniman's first ever show and first ever title. He'll be competing next week at the U.S. Open, 64th U.S. Open. It's our second of 4 majors. Comes away at a special start time, noon Eastern next week here on ESPN. From just outside St. Louis and a huge Cleveland sports fan, it's Mike Miniman winning a PBA Tour title. A great show today. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. College football all-star challenge coming up. For Randy and Norm, it's Dave Ryan saying so long from Parkersburg.